Oh, look at this. A Lincoln. Oh, it already has a radio in it. Huh. Hey, buddy.
Hello, sir.
What are you doing?
Just taking a nap.
Yes. A little early in the day to do that.
I
see there's a backup camera.
Yes, sir. Want to take it out?
Yeah, we're taking it out.
We're taking it out.
So we're taking all this stuff out of this car?
Yes.
All right.
Make it factory.
Make it factory. All right, so we have a Lincoln here. We're gonna go ahead and remove the Kenwood radio, the Sirius XM, and the backup camera that we previously installed. I believe they have a Jeep Wrangler. Might be putting that in later. Big surprise there, I know. From a Ford to a Jeep. You guys are gonna love that one. Also, trip to the Buys That Are Best this weekend. Picked up a new microphone for one of the SLRs that we use. We needed a third microphone. I know, right? And then we also got this guy here. We're gonna try to vlog with this instead of using my phone here. Hopefully that'll make things a little better. Wait a minute, wasn't this silver a minute ago?
It's white.
Was it white?
Yeah.
Now we have a black one. Well, this one's a Ford. The other one was a Lincoln. But yeah, wow, back to back.
Same difference.
Same difference. All right, so what do we got going on this? We got 8200.
8201.
8201, which means the 01 is the camera. That guy right there. That guy there is going to go there. We're also putting in backup camera, dash kit, and 4 new Alpine speakers.
Yes, sir.
Which we showed this truck a couple weeks ago in the vlog, so I don't have to film you. All right, pop the hood for me, will you?
Pop it.
So there's really no place that we could figure out to put the camera. He goes off into the woods, so we don't want to put anything this low. We don't want to drill into this. This is metal. He's got this cool thing here. So after talking with the customer, we decided to just put it right here. We'll have to remove the heat shield, go up underneath the heat shield, make a loop here. He's a mechanic, so I explained to him that you have to keep an eye on it because the loop could possibly get stuck out the window. He's like, that's cool. Well, you know what, let's stop talking about it. Let's just do it. Alright, so we went ahead and covered the camera in the Chinese finger torture flexible tubing. Now we're going to go ahead and mount it into our mount. So we have the camera mounted. We screwed it in as well as used the 3M tape that it comes with. And then what we did to fasten it is we drilled holes all along this ridge here so that the camera would be tucked up inside, runs along here, goes down behind here. Then to make it a little bit thicker, so we don't have to worry about it getting pinched, we put some regular flex loom over it and then some of the high temp Tessa tape, zip tied it in. Went through the grommet and the firewall. We're going to put our connection right inside. We'll tell the customer where it's at in case he ever needs to do any service like remove the hood or something like that. Let's go take a look at the back and see what Fernando's doing. So one of the most popular questions we get is on cameras, has to do with wiring up the camera. There's essentially 3 wires to every camera. A power, red, a ground black, and then the reverse trigger, which typically is purple white on the radio. Now, the red and black get hooked up to accessory and ground. That should be the easy part, which it's not, I understand. The purple white on the radio needs to get hooked up to the reverse trigger. There's 3 ways it can do that, depending on the make, model, and year of your car. If you have a new car and it requires a smart harness, it's going to be in the smart harness. If you have an older car, which really doesn't mean older, I mean it could be last year, or a Toyota for that matter, typically it's going to be at the reverse light here. This is the easiest place to get it, is just go to the light. Now, in some cars, they run it along the inside of the car. So for example, in this car, the reverse wire is a black with a pink stripe. In this particular Ford, they run it inside the car. That's not true for all Fords. Some Fords actually, the transmission, the reverse comes off the transmission and goes back to the light. So the only place to get it is either at the light or at the transmission, which can be fun. All right, so we got going on in this Ford F-150 right here is this junction box right here. Over here in the corner is a black wire with a pink stripe. It runs up along here. And then you can pull it out of the harness right here. It's a much easier place to get to it. We have a test probe in. We have our voltmeter hooked up. This is positive. We have a negative. Let's come over here. Turn on the car, put on the brake, put it in reverse. We see that we have 12 volts. Take it out. So we know this is the reverse wire. So all we have to do is tap in here. And you're good to go. Now I will tell you, if you're going to do this in your Ford F-150, keep in mind over here there is 2 black with pinks and a pink with black, so make sure you test the wire. Alright, as we say, anytime you're done hooking up speakers, you always want to polarity test them to make sure they're all moving the same directions. Last week we used one tool, this week we're going to use another tool. We're just going to use an iPhone. So we have the Speaker Pop app downloaded. We have it run into the auxiliary of the radio we just installed.
It's right here.
So let's go ahead and do it. Go ahead and go to the app. There's a little switch right there, that green thing in the bottom left. Turn that on, and then just turn your volume up. You get the cool sound. Now all you have to do is take your microphone, put it towards the door. Alright, so that's the bottom speaker. And that's the top speaker. Go ahead, pass it here. I'll do mine. Now if you notice there's a little heartbeat icon on there, it's actually reading the signal, that's why it's not changing. And unlike the other app, this one only puts out one direction. So whereas the other app flip-flops between positive and negative, this just puts out one test tone. Alright, so there you go. That's using your phone. It's an alternative method as to using the little handheld. I personally like the little handheld better. I like the green, red pop. But, you know, to each his own, no big deal. It's another tool in your arsenal. The most important thing is to make sure your speakers are all in polarity. That's key, as we've said before. All right, we're going to do the rears, and we're going to move on to the next car. So we finally have something in other than a Ford. Yay! We have a Chevy pickup. Is it a Chevy or GMC? It is a Chevy. Big difference between Chevy and GMC, people. Anyways, so what we're doing in this is we're adding he previously had a Nissan Titan. He got rid of that. He bought this. We're putting 2 Compar T12s underneath the back seat and his old Alpine Amplifier. Hey guys, how's everybody doing on this beautiful Monday morning? We hope you're having a great day so far.
Yeah.
What we have here today is a big Chevy Silverado that all we're doing is, not to get you guys too excited, all we're doing is putting an amp in it. I know you guys want to see a video with a full stereo in one of these. This isn't it. All this is a simple amp install. Now, the problem that a lot of these have is there's no room to put the amplifiers anywhere in this car. It's got one of these silly, this is called a high transmission hump. It's just a nightmare. But if you remove the back seat, there is a ton of room. Look at this, you have like an 1.5 inches of padding here. So as far as amplifiers go, if you remove a portion of this, you can fit your amp. I've also been told too, if you shave the back seat some, you can, I think it's like 1 inch, you can actually make this so it folds down. I haven't done it, so I can't confirm it, but Chevy guys have told me that if you grind a certain portion of this bracket off, that you can actually make the seat fold down. I can neither confirm nor deny. But anyways, what we got going on is this is a Alpine amplifier. It's a little bit bigger than the kicker amplifiers we typically hide in these things. With the kicker amp, you really don't even need to take out the back seat. It just pretty much fits. This one doesn't, so what it's going to do is we're going to make a bracket for this amplifier here. And it is going to mount basically right here. So probably right about there, so we have enough clearance for the seat belts, and also because this is a hole here, we can get in with our hands and work the gains and stuff like that once we put the seat back in. So that'll be nice. He's going after the signal for the door. We have the signal for the door. Just in case you guys are wondering what these are made by Power Probe. Those are for the Power Probe. They're really nice because what they'll do is kind of like, it's a removable T-tap almost. It allows us to test a circuit without stripping the wire or anything like that. In this case, of course, he used this cool DirectX software to go figure out what wires they were, so we knew. Alright, you done?
I'm done.
We got the fuse holder mounted. I just finished mounting the amplifier and the subwoofers in.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's, you went a little crazy on that one. So what is it? It's bolted in here, bent down and comes across?
Yes, sir. Well, we used to like bend it over here, put the screws and go
No, I
here.
like that. That's a little cleaner.
This goes straight, nothing in the top, so.
Alright. Let's hear it. Alright, so finally something other than a four-door Jeep. We have an E350. Now, these are pretty fun cars to work on. The battery's underneath the hood here, which is interesting. There is a giant hole behind the fuse box, which is here, but this is a watertight fuse box, as you can see from this gasket right here. So, trying to stay away from that as much as possible. There is another grommet way down here that's actually real easy to get to, But the way we decided to go with the amplifier is on the other side of the car. So, because that's where the battery is, so it only makes sense to go there. So what we found was if you pulled out the floor panel here, so right there next to the air conditioner box is a grommet, and that goes right out to the battery compartment. So once we found that, we knew that we're going down the passenger side of the car. This is high level, so it's just going to be the power wire. This is a one-piece back seat. It's not a fold down. There's little clips that are in the rear deck here, these guys here, but there's little levers that allow you to fold the seat up. This piece right here, this is a solid plastic piece, so we're actually going to mount the amp here because his box is really big and it's not going to scoot all the way up in there, so it seemed like a good idea just to mount the amp there. Now, where the fun comes in is this is the Harman Kardon system, which means that the subwoofer is right here, and this is the subwoofer here. But the cool thing is this is the subwoofer amplifier. And if you notice, we have some wires going up to it, which come down here to our RTA. Hey Fernando, could you turn this on for me? So as you can see, we have plenty of line level output voltage, so all we have to do is add an RCA to this output here. Now also on this plug, it does have, this is the output, these greens and blues are the outputs for the factory woofer, but then there's another wire buried inside of here, which just so happens to be a remote turn on. So we're gonna go ahead and tie into that. And of course, what day would not be complete without what, Fernando?
A Jeep.
All right, man, it's that time. We gotta go. Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta go set up. This will have to wait. Well, sometimes it happens that way. Is it? Didn't it? Did we run it? No, last week we were on time. So we actually have to go set up to do the Facebook Live show. Come on, man. All right, look at that. Finally, we get some rain today. That's what we needed. Well, we just finished the Facebook Live show, so we're headed back to the install bay because we have to finish the Jeep. Really, the hardest part about the Jeep was this mount right here. If any of you guys have done a Jeep before, you know you remove the screw that's up here in the top. So we had to make a bracket for this to actually attach to. So that this, when the phone's on here, the whole dash doesn't come off. All right, guys, we're done. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, it's the next day. Let's get this day started. So, what do we have today? Let's take a look. Ooh, an Infinity. So what we got going on in this Infinity is we're gonna install that cool Rockford P312 into the trunk. We've already started taking the car apart. The cool thing about this car is that there is a factory amplifier already in here and a factory subwoofer. So we will be able to use high level off of the factory sub. We can unplug it. Now it uses a conventional style connector, so we'll just go ahead and put our male pins into this so we won't have to tap into it or anything like that. That way it'll be easily removable if they want to go back to factory. Now there's also a very handy grommet right here that we can drill a hole into, run it through. And then a lot of people, when they're doing these cars, this piece here, this is actually going to come out, and there's a beautiful grommet right here. Everyone always wants to go in through the driver's side. Not so. You don't have to do the driver's side. Sometimes passenger side is key. Let's get this off. Alright, so here we go. Here's that cool grommet. You can basically go in right through here. That goes right in behind the glove box. And of course you just make your fuse holder for out here. Here's behind the seat. So there's that cool grommet right there. We can actually just drill our own little hole into here, come out of there, and then run it all along the floorboard. talk about it enough. Polarity checking your speakers is very important. So what we have here is a PT9A. What this guy does, this does a couple things. This is another way to check polarity of your speakers. This will create the popping sound, so you don't need to use a disc or a phone or something like that. It has an output that you can plug into an amplifier or into an auxiliary or anything like that. Or in this case, it has an amplified output that will just go to a speaker. So now it also has a microphone in the end of it so that you can use it to test the phase. I personally don't like to use it. I like using this guy here. So what we're looking for is red. We want this to light up red, because we're testing the underside of the speaker. So we want a red image and not a green, or yeah, green. So we'll go ahead and we'll switch them. Okay, so now when we put the plug in, this side here, which is going to be this connector here, is going to be the positive one. So like we said, we're going to go through this hole right here. What we have here is a fiberglass 1/8 inch rod. And the reason why we like the fiberglass is, well, for one, it's not metal. And anytime we're going anywhere near where there might be wiring, we don't want to use anything metal, because if it just so happens to poke or slice or bump a wire or anything like that, which try to avoid at all costs, it's fiberglass. So it's not going to short out the system. So there's a circle on here. You want to just go right above it and just poke in. Let's get a little closer. Now when you go to pull this thing out, you want to make sure you put some soap, hand soap works great, on the other side on the wire. And also put about 3 inches of tape the wire to this rod, about 3 inches. Good tight tape, not loose, because you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on this, pulling this through this little hole. Alright. I just think I lost it.
Really?
Oh, no, here we go. It's coming.
I don't feel it. No.
Oh. Oh, got it. Now once you get the wire out, you're going to want to make sure, even though it's really tight in there, you want to make sure you put some kind of weather stripping caulk or something like that on there. What we use is stuff called 3M strip caulk. It's this black gooey stuff. It's like bubble gum, just really disgusting. So you just kind of wrap it around the wire like a donut, and then you just kind of push it into place. Alright, so now I like to put this stuff on before I put on my loom, because I don't want, you know, when you do the loom, there's a little gap there. So now you can go ahead and add the loom. Now this stuff will actually never dry, so if the car moves and stuff like that, this will move with it, and it's really nice stuff. here. I just ran to Target. My daughter's out front. Today's her 18th birthday. So this is Haley's 18th birthday. So I got her a little something. So hang on. You, Fernando, take over.
Yeah.
Don't just stand there and look at the camera and feel awkward. Did you see all those people in there? Look at them all in there. All right, so what we got here, she likes these weird things. This is like a chocolate brown. Anyways, got the candle. Gonna put it in.
Here you go.
I don't have a lighter. All right, so there we go. So she's out front watching a movie.
Yeah.
Fernando, could you hold this?
Yeah,
I'm gonna take the camera. So we're gonna go surprise her with this. Let me get this off of here. All right, let me turn the image. Hang on. All right, so Fernando's got it. We're gonna sing her happy birthday. So I want all you guys out there to
slow.
just, oh yeah, I forgot. You guys are gonna have to sing happy birthday with us. Right. Hey Haley.
Yeah.
What you doing?
Watching a movie.
Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to. How old are you?
18.
All right. Oh, by the way, your eviction notice is served.
Whatever.
Enjoy the cake. Get out of the house.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're putting a new radio on this Hyundai. Now this applies to any car, and that's why we're showing you on this particular one, because why not? So you have the plug, you have the factory plug. This has a ton of wires on it, this has a ton of wires on it. But are all these wires necessary when replacing the radio? So what you want to do is, of course, separate the yellow out, because you don't want it touching any of these, but just plug it in and then check. Make sure that if there's a wire here, there's a wire here. That's very important. So for example, right here, we'll look at the blue-white wire. If we go to the other side, this is number 5. We come to another 5. There's these 2 empty holes here. So this is the remote turn-on wire. It's not in this side. So this is telling us that it doesn't need to be hooked up. If we flip it over, though, we'll see the blue wire, which is the power antenna. There's a wire there. So we know that we do need to hook this wire up. Also, real important wire to check is the ground, because we've talked about this before with the Nissans. It has a wire here, and you just assume you're going to hook it up to something, and then you plug it in, and there's no wire on the other side. So in this case, there is a wire on the other side, so we should be safe there. Another wire to check, of course, is your red wire. A lot of these cars are now smart cars that need interface modules. The red wire is going to be the telltale sign. If there's no red wire on this side, if there's nothing that this is going to go to, then you're going to need some form of a smart harness. This is an older car, of course, so it's got a nice wire here, so we're good. It has an accessory. But there we go. So always check your harness before you just go ahead and hook it up. And as we said a million times, make sure you test your radio before you put your dash back together. So it's hump day. That's right, it's the middle of the week. We're so excited to be here.
Mike.
That's right. And nothing says Wednesday better than starting out putting in an overhead. Alright, so now that we're done mounting it, we have to test it. They're getting some headphones, so we want to make sure those work. We also have it hooked up to the factory aux in the system. Can you give me a little volume? Cool. Okay, so this unit works. As usual, we're going to leave the plastic on here and let the customer remove this. It says, note, this label is to be removed by the end user only. That is not us. We're not going to remove it. Go ahead and hit that. Hit eject to get our disc out. So this unit's cool. This is the new 2017 Vox Movies to Go unit. Vox is of course Audio Vox. They changed the name. It has HDMI input as well as USB and aux on the side. It has the parental control for the remote control up here in the front. So if you're sitting in the back and or so the kids are in the back and you're the driver in the front and you can't, they got their headphones on, you can grab the remote, hit pause, and it'll stop the unit from up front instead of having to reach around and try to hit these buttons here. So that's a pretty cool feature. So one of the real common questions we get is how much does an overhead block my rearview mirror? So right now it's up, we'll drop it down. That's how much it's going to block. Welcome to the show. Today is Wednesday, hump day, which means tonight I don't get any sleep because I get to stay up and have the vlog get edited and out for you guys to enjoy. A week's full of fun and excitement. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Check this out. All right, so what we have is we're making an amp rack out of what used to be this ugly Beats by Dre woofer. So now you're thinking, well, what could possibly a Beats by Dre woofer be in? Well, let's take a look. This is a Dodge Challenger. Charger? Charger. This is Dodge Charger. They both start with C. I think that's a bad idea. This guy has the cool Beats by Dre 8-inch system in the dash. Today he's only in for a subwoofer upgrade. We're going with two P312s. These guys right here in the factory box, along with a, as you saw Fernando over there, with the Punch 1000. It's going to power it. The subwoofer was located right here in this side of the car. Now what we've done is we've gone ahead and added a kicker Kissel. We thought we'd switch it up a little bit for you guys today. We always do those pack audios. Today we're doing a Kissel. This unit does not have the remote turn on built into it. However, it does have a serious load resistance built into it, which is what a lot of these Chryslers need in order to wake up the amplifier. The reason why we're not so worried about the remote turn on is because down here in the fuse box, right here, which we've already installed this is a cool little fuse tap. So I don't know if you guys have seen the video on it. It's very popular. This is a fuse tap. So this one here on the bottom is the factory. This is going to be our remote turn on. And what we have right here is, this is constant 12 volts. This is accessory. This goes out to the cigarette lighter. So we can add this in, and it has to go in a specific direction because you don't want the fuse to blow if something bad happens. So it does have to go this way with this wire coming out. It's going to run out, and then right here we can plug in for our remote turn on. Let's go back over here and see what Fernando's got going on. Let's not lose our finger. Safety first, people. Safety first. So pro tip for the day, guys. This is 1/4-inch ABS. That's why it looked like he was straining there to push. If you want a nice straight line when you go to heat up and bend this stuff, what you want to do is go onto the table saw, lower it down quite a bit, a little bit more, right about there. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to line it back up, flip it over. Alright, now lock it in place, flip the stuff back over. And now what you're going to do is you're going to score a line into the plastic. Alright, so this line scored into it now. When you take we use the torch, which is this right here. Okay, the nice thing about using a torch as opposed to a heat gun is that, is you can really get in there. And hold on, you can really get in there and just heat up that one section of plastic, as opposed to with a heat gun where you're going to heat up this whole area. And what that's going to give you is that's going to give you a really sharp bend, so you'll get a nice tight 90. You can do it in pretty much all your plastics too. So like even when you're doing like an 1/8 inch, you just do like a 30-second little score in there just to give you a marker of a straight line, as opposed to, it'll make the bend that much easier. Fernando's gone ahead and heated it up, and now you just set it down like that. You take your 90 right like that, your roofing square, and now you just sit there and hold it for a little while, If you want to make it faster, of course you can take a sponge with water and just kind of go over it. That'll definitely, but you know, sometimes we have to move it once or twice. We just want it to get solid, and then we'll let it sit and dry. Alright, so when you're running a big amp like the Punch 1000, you don't want to run something like 12 gauge unless you're only going like a foot or two. You really need to run something like 10 gauge. So what we've done here is we've taken the Chinese finger torture loom and took a 10 gauge power and ground and made our own 10 gauge speaker wire, so that there'll be no problem getting the power from this amp to the box. Alright, so the amplifier is in, and we got some sub. Now, since we were talking about plastic today, on the show the other day, someone asked about how we hold these subwoofers in place. And right here you'll see this is a 1/2 inch piece of plastic. What we do is we screw that down to the floor so that the box has like a lip to go over. That'll keep the box from sliding this way. So this is what we do when we want to make sure the subwoofer stays put. So one of the tools that we use today in the overhead that we didn't really get a chance to show is this guy right here. This is a riveter. This is an old school actual riveter, but it's a pneumatic riveter in that you plug in an air hose. So let me show you how this works and how we used it today in installing the overhead. When you mount your bracket into the ceiling, when it comes up like this to the edge, this would be the back of the car. If it's only mounted to the rear back there, you can get some wobble. And what will happen is since there's nothing to attach it to the front side, because they're again had a sunroof, there's nothing here. So this can sag like this, and you can pull it down and you can reach it. So to make it so that this doesn't happen, we add these little teeth to the actual metal piece like this. And for that we use rivets, because you don't want to use a screw that's long or a bolt that might get caught. You don't want to use a screw or a bolt or something that's long and could catch that sunroof. So rivets are perfect for that. And that's where the riveter comes in. Just puts it on like this. And there you go. Now you have a perfect rivet, and it's real shallow. It's not going to take up any room. As you can see there, it's almost nothing. Typically we'll add 2, so let's go ahead and do the second one. Let's put it on. The end will fall out. We're going to be good to go. So now what happens, you slide this in, and it's going to go underneath that headliner. And so when you screw on your overhead, it's going to get scissored between these two. The overhead's going to sit on top of this. So now you have a solid point. You can't lift, you know, if the overhead starts to get yanked down, it's going to pull the material with it, as opposed to not having anything at all. So it's just there to make it a little bit more secure, and it's super thin.